Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all viewers. In this video, we are going to present the requirement analysis and requirement negotiation techniques that will be applied in our project entitled Smart Passion Tracking and Monitoring System using IoT device. We are from Group C. I am Nick Fikri, and the rest of my teammates are Addilla, Shahirah, and Mamadou. In the previous assignments, we have selected use case-based methodology as our RE methodology and 3 elicitation techniques, which are interviews, background study, and requirement reuse to be applied in our project later. In the requirement engineering process, once we have done with requirement gathering and requirement elicitation, the next stage is requirement analysis and negotiation. A picture worth 1,000 words. Because of that phrase, we pick 2 diagrams, which are flowchart diagram and data flow diagram, as our requirement analysis techniques. My friend Mamadou will explain more about flowchart diagram, and I'll be explaining about data flow diagram later. As for the requirement negotiation techniques, we pick easy win-win technique or tool, which will be elaborated later by Addilla and Shahirah.
Hello everyone, my name is Mamadou. Today I'll be talking about flowchart in requirement analysis and negotiation. Before we go to that, I'd like to remind you what is flowchart. A flowchart is a visual representation of sequence of steps and decisions needed to perform a process. Flowchart is also used for many things such as planning a new project, documenting a process, and also in a requirement negotiations. And it's where it plays a big role. I have a question. How we may use this flowchart in our project requirement analysis and negotiation? In my attempt to answer these questions, I'd like to put it in a scenario. In a project, you have different stakeholders. Different stakeholders might have different requirements, so a conflict is likely. To handle that conflict, to negotiate between the stakeholders and get compromise, flowchart is the best tool for that. Down below, I have a representation of how to deal with requirement negotiations using flowchart. Take a look. So that's all for the requirement for the flowchart in requirement analysis and negotiation. Thank you.
Alright, data flow diagram. Data flow diagram is a traditional visual representation of the information flows within a system. It shows how information enters and leaves the system, what changes the information, and where the information is stored. Data flow diagram is important because it can show the scope and boundaries of a system as a whole. It can also be used as a communication tool between system analysts and the stakeholders for the system that acts as a starting point for designing or changing any particular part of a system. There are 4 main components of data flow diagram. External entity. External entity can represent a human, system, or a subsystem. Customer is an example of external entity. Process is a business activity or function where the manipulation and transformation of data takes place. Process order, ship good, and also issue receipt are the example of process. Data store represents the storage of persistent data required or produced by the process earlier. So here we have customer, transaction, and also inventory, which all the data produced by the processes will be stored here. And data flow, on the other hand, represents the flow of information with its direction represented by an arrowhead that show at the end of each connector. So this is an example of data flow diagram for an online purchasing system.
In requirement engineering, One of the techniques that we want to implement is actually a negotiation technique. Do you ever fight with someone for something that they also wanted? Negotiation is actually the effective way to resolve problems whenever two sides want the same thing. Both sides will get benefit from negotiation that will end up a result of win-win situation for both of them. There is a lot of negotiation tools in requirement engineering, such as Aspire, Negoist, Easy Win-Win, and also Smart Cito. In this project, we choose Easy Win-Win.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shahirah binti Ahmad Sayuti 1517892. So our project we will use Easy Win-Win as our negotiation technique. So Easy Win-Win is a requirement methodology that helps collective technology to improve the involvement of stakeholders in requirement engineering process based on win-win approach. So here, this approach consists several activities that influence stakeholders throughout the process, which is gathering, elaborating, prioritizing, and negotiating. We have 7 main activities in this approach. Firstly is review and expand negotiation topics. So here stakeholders will refine and customize the outline based on domain of the software that will help us to thinking and organize negotiation result during negotiations. Second is brainstorm stakeholder interest. So here we will gather stakeholder requirement and statements such as goals, views, and their expectation of the system. The third is converge in win condition. So here we will remove redundant and ambiguous condition by considering all ideas in brainstorming session. Fourth is capture glossary of term. We will capture all important keyword and domain that shared by stakeholders. Fifth is prioritize win condition. In these activities, we will define and narrow down the scope of the project to gain focus of this project. Sixth is reveal issues and constraints. We will analyzing the prioritization pool for stakeholders to understand the issue of the system. And lastly, identify issues, options, and agreements. So here stakeholders state their constraints and issues and propose options to solve them. And the rational decision will help to negotiate agreement. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.